Hello. I am eating ice cream. Not good stuff, but I'm doing it anyway. I have got so many tabs open that it is actually ridiculous today. We're going to be talking about prophecies outside the Bible that, maybe correlate with things that we're seeing today and things in the Bible. Plus, we're going to do some word studies. I hope I'm talking loud enough. I've always got somebody saying that they can't hear me good. I'm trying. I really am. Turned off the external hard drive, turned off the fans. It's not absolutely sweltering in here right now, thank goodness, but it's a thing. So you'll probably be able to hear me eating and hear the animals outside whenever they get started instead of me. Anyway, all right. I need to share screen so we can get started. Welcome. Somebody's already here. Let's see, entire screen because I've got a lot going on here. I'm going to try to keep track of comments. Let me know, where you're from and stuff. I want to invite you to my community if you haven't seen this yet. So I'm going to, real quick. I have this group. It's not on Facebook or any place like that. It's on my own thing. There should be a link somewhere on my channel. I'll try to make sure that I get a link in the first comment or something too. But if you haven't joined yet, I invite you. This is a place where we can have discussions about stuff. No judgment, as long as things are clean, family friendly. No judgment here and no censorship. So I just wanted to bring that up because it's a thing, is it not? It's a thing. So let's see. Got one down. Hey, 50 plus plans. I like that. No longer the third rock from the sun. Or the third rock on the sun. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. We're going to start with this. I'm going to have to remember to pop this around. Let's see. Share screen. Why do you do this to me? I'm just going to have to do the entire thing. Okay, because I'm going to pop in and out of this on the share screen, and I fuss with it. So, because I like to check and see what comments I've got. All right. I wanted to start with, as we're going through prophecies, of course, the History Channel has had something. No, I don't know this because we don't have TV. So, and we haven't had TV for a very long time. I used to, whenever we would go to like a hotel or something, History Channel was one of my favorite things to pull up. But we haven't done that in forever. We hardly go anywhere anymore. We've got too many animals to leave the house very much. So they've got this little 2-minute segment thing that you can see. But since the beginning of recorded time, people have been thinking about the end of the world. As such, major religions have formulated elaborate viewpoints on the topic. Of course, they start with They love the idea of trying to, you know, put things in there. The Bible's book of Revelation entails Armageddon, the final battle on earth between the forces of God and Satan. Hinduism refers to a version in which Vishnu returns to battle as a figure on a white horse. That's very interesting that it has that, and we're going to look into a little bit of that. The doomsday beliefs of some religions can still be felt in modern secular society, as we case with a conclusion of the Mayan calendar. And this must have been, was this around? This was 2009. And they were expecting, you know, some people were expecting the world to end because the Mayan calendar supposedly ended in 2012. Of course, we're going to quote New York Times. Gnostics predicted the imminent arrival of God's kingdom as early as the 1st century. Well, of course, because it was predicted in the book of Revelation, which was written in the 1st century. So the Shakers thought the world would be over in 1792. I bet they did. While the Jehovah's Witnesses pegged it as 1914 and 1994. I didn't realize that. More recently, some forecasters have focused on 2012 because of the Mayan calendar. Let's see. Those theorists believe the Earth will experience unprecedented cataclysmic, oh my goodness, my brain has not been here. Cataclysmic disasters ranging from massive earthquakes and tsunamis, nuclear reactor meltdowns, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's going to go into, okay, in Islam, the end of the world is referred to the hour and involves Jesus returning to Damascus to slay an antichrist who has put us in peril. With the Antichrist out of the picture, a period of perfect harmony will ensue. Oh, wow. Jesus will later die a natural death, which will usher in a time of destruction that leads directly to the hour. That's interesting. In Judaism, there is no term for Armageddon. Well, there kind of is. It's called the Day of the Lord. Okay. Oh, seriously? I hate pop-ups. War of Gog and Magog. Hinduism, there's a story that Vishnu is coming back. Didn't we already talk about that? Let's see. Despite the many theories and religious interpretations, the only thing that's certain about the end of the world is that no one can know for sure what will happen. Well, that's probably true. Yeah, we just got to add some stuff there. Okay. So we have, let's see, I'm going to check. See who's been here. Hi, Samantha. Samantha Marie. That is so pretty. And Hunky Hubby. Yes, I will tell Hunky Hubby that you say hi. Leaving to get ice cream too. All right. So we'll both be having ice cream. Yes. Yes. Ice cream is just, it's one of those summer things. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's see. So let's do Hindu eschatology. Now, I am definitely not a you know, any kind of a major, I don't know huge amounts. So if somebody comes out here and starts saying, if you know more about Hindu eschatology or some of this stuff than I do, please leave information in the comments, because I am not Miss Know-It-All by any, just definitely not. I do love, and I've mentioned him before, Praveen Mohan. Let me see if I can find him. There he is. Praveen Mohan. He has got a great channel. I really do appreciate his stuff, talking about the Hindu temples and stuff. He's like boots on the ground in India, and he does an excellent job. I don't for any reason believe that he's a Bible believer. I think he's an ancient alien person, perhaps. I don't know. But anyway, his stuff is very good. So if you want to know about the Hindu stuff, definitely look his up. And every time I mention him, somebody asks. So there it was. So let's see if we can find so they believe in ages. They've got these different ages with their Dhamma, and I hate to even try to pronounce some of this stuff. To do daily life. Oh, where did it go? Fourth age. They had something. No, that was the Buddhist stuff. Okay, so they've got these 4 ages, these 4 cycles. They're on 1,000-year cycles, and encompass the beginning of complete purity to a descent into total decay, devolution. That's interesting. And then the last 4 ages is the last of the 4 ages is one in which we currently reside. This epoch, has been foretold to be characterized by impiety, violence, and decay. Well, I think they've got a little bit more right than most people. I also believe Hinduism basically is based on pre-flood, right? Because so much of their stuff, I think it was built. A lot of those temples and stuff were built pre-flood. I would be surprised, especially, the ones that were just carved out of bedrock, and like they were 3D printed except backwards. They were 3D carved into bedrock by something, or out of bedrock. It's like, where did the rest of the bedrock go? Where'd the rest of that rock go? And then not only that, but some of the pillars in those temples, out of all one rock, basically, move like pieces of machinery. It's crazy. There will be many false religions. Yeah, I think they've got a lot of things right in this. There's a lot of things that I don't like about Hinduism, but usually with these things, it's what people do with it. Any religion, it's what people do with it, not what was originally there. And I think for historical purposes, and probably literary purposes, if I could read it, some of their artwork is just beautiful. Of course, the architecture is amazing. The writing itself is beautiful. There's so much here that's just amazing. And I think the pictures of the deities, I think many of these were definitely Nephilim creatures. There you have, we're going to talk about this here in a little bit. There you have one of the Lingum, it looks like. And I mean, that is a very old thing there. I mean, that's old. Yeah, this symbol, definitely a Nephilim of some sort there. So, I mean, there's so much. They have so much history, and it's a wonder that Western society tried to go in there and just decimate them and take everything away, because there's so much there, so much history, but a lot of them are blue color and things like that. So anyway, I can get so sidetracked on some of these. This was Hindu Prophecies. Let's see. One of the 4 stages of development that the world goes through as part of the cycle of eras. This is a epic or an era with a cycle of 4 ages, kind of like seasons: spring, summer, spring, winter, autumn. Okay, let's see. A complete cycle from high golden age of enlightenment to dark and then back again. This is Mayan calendar, and it says that it matches the Hindu calendar, which is very interesting. There are a lot of things about like the Mayan stuff and the Hindu stuff and the Egyptian stuff. Excuse me. Very, very similar. So that's interesting. Ancient Hindus mainly used lunar calendars, but also used solar calendars. If an average lunar calendar is 354.36 days, then this would be about this many lunar years, 5,270 lunar years from the time this started until December of 2012. So very, very similar to what the Mayans had. Very interesting tying that together. The apocalypse for the Hindu is a natural ending of the world. The preserver, into whose self the world is absorbed before being born again. Interesting. Well, this sounds very familiar. All kings occupying the earth in this age will be wanting tranquility, strong in anger, taking pleasure at all times, in lying and dishonesty, inflicting death on women, children, and cows. Hindus like cows. They very much like cows. I like cows too, but not in the same way they do. Prone to take the paltry possessions of others. No, really? That right there sounds like the American political system. I mean, all the way down to inflicting on the cows. Yep, that's what they're trying to do right now. Because cows toot too much. Quarrels, plagues, fatal diseases, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot here. Okay. going to. Okay. And then we have Buddhism. I need to check and see what you guys are saying. There are some underwater temples. Well, and a lot of those temples in India, they've got tunnels going from one to the another underneath. So that's interesting too. But yeah, some of them are because they're underground, basically, And were they really carved out of bedrock, or were they petrified? Like that Goglepi Tepe. That one in Turkey that I've posted about a couple of times. Oh my goodness, I cannot speak. It was like it was buried on purpose before the flood, right? So could that be some of these temples in India? Could they have been buried on purpose because of the flood, and then the pressure of the flood waters might have actually petrified everything, just depending on the kind of stuff that they put?
Where's the best set? Catherine brought the Opie.
It was on the dryer.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Are you live?
Yes, I am. Oh, do you want to show them your puppy? Okay, that'll be great, because then I can eat some. No, you have to come over here and you have to show the puppy yourself. Yeah, you have to come over here and show the puppy yourself. Are you coming so you can show the puppy yourself? You guys want to see the puppy, don't you? See, isn't he pretty? Hi, dear. Looky here. Oh, I know. You want kisses? Oh. They love him. I know that they will leave comments and tell him how pretty he is. His name is Opie, short for Optimus Prime.
Yes, I'm a nerd.
They said so sweet. Oh, that's the 17-year-old and her service dog. Okay, let's see. Turkey. Oh, this is how I should do that, huh? All right, let's see if I can do this better. No, I'm not going to do it. I thought I might get kind of slick here, but it's not going to. Yep, that's what we want. Okay, so Buddhism is the next one I kind of wanted to look up. Now, Buddhism supposedly isn't that old. It's, let's see, started around the 5th century. Well, I mean, it might be 5,000 years before the Lord. I don't know. Hard to say. But I put them after the Hindus. And it's hard for me to separate a bunch of this stuff because, again, we have India. It's in Asia. And I don't know. Is a Buddha just kind of a lingam in the shape of a man? I don't know. Because that kind of does look like it to me. And his feet there. That's so funny. Because we're going to look at the lingams here for a minute. Now, is this not interesting? Does that not look like a bunch of clowns there? Paul over at Understanding Conspiracy, he's doing, I can't wait till his book is done. Because he's doing a book on the clowns being Nephilim. Does that very much not look like that? I mean, to me, definitely. We got some different things going on here. Oh, we've got a lion's tail and lion's feet. And then we have this different color. I wonder what color it actually was. And then this always reminds me of like the Monkey King and the story of the Journey to the West thing. If you guys haven't seen that with Sarcastic Productions, I do not agree with all of their stuff, but they have some very interesting research and retellings that they've done on both historical documents and stuff and the old myths and legends, and really digging into what are the oldest renditions of these and what was actually there to begin with, right? Let me see if I can pull them up again too. Sarcastic Productions. Overly Sarcastic Productions. That is them. Oh, they actually have and they do some really fun animations with it, and they have a whole story to the West thing that they do. But they go through the different characters and they go through the actual stories, going to the oldest documents that they can find of where these stories came from and historical data. They do an excellent job. They really do. So that's another one that you ought to, I suggest that you check out. Okay, Buddhist eschatology. Yeah, let's see. This one is very, very, very interesting because they have this Sermon of the Seven Sons. And this Maitreya kind of reminds me of the saint, what's his name, that does that did the prophecy of the popes. If you guys have heard of that, I'm going to go through that in a minute too. So again, we have, this will be a period of greed, lust, poverty, ill will, violence, murder, blah, 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 blah. And then it will be followed by a new golden age. At that period, brethren, there will arise in the world an exalted one, named whatever, fully awakened, abounding in wisdom and goodness, happy and with knowledge of the world's unsurpassed. I told you my brain. I'm so sorry. Unsurpassed as a guide to mortals willing to be led. A teacher for gods and men, interesting. An exalted one, a Buddha, even as I am now. He by himself, which this sounds very similar to what Moses, that there would be another prophet like unto Moses in the Bible, right? So a lot of this stuff, it's very, very similar wording to the stuff that we had in the Bible. So when they were telling that Jesus would be an exalted one like Moses, okay, because they called him a prophet, and of course the branch and all that kind of stuff. So when you realize that the empires BC were worldwide empires, I think that is so important to realize that these empires weren't just, it was just that part of the world, right? No, after the Tower of Babel, God sent people into all of the world. And Moses and his sons still lived several hundred years after. So they could have easily have traveled around the world and talked with all the people that were being scattered all over and handed out these stories, right? And then you have, the the watchers, good and bad, that were watching over the nations, the princes of the nations, and there was a prince for this world under Satan, basically, a prince over a nation that was his emissary, and then a prince over the nation that was God's emissary, right? So like a guardian, right? And so they would have had the same stories, right? So in order, I mean, it's just normal for them to have very, very similar stories. And for us to be able to see the connections between them. And I think this is important. So often, Christians just want to ignore anything that isn't considered quote unquote Christians. But then they end up letting things into their lives and their churches that are very not biblical because they can't recognize they're not enough into their Bibles to have the proper discernment, and then they know nothing of the world outside of their little circles to be able to recognize what's of God and what's not. And it's so sad to me. Let's see. Here, the Lord replied, I don't know who it's talking about, Lord here. That's interesting. The best of men will leave the heavens and go for his last rebirth. As soon as he is born, he will walk 7 steps forward. Where he puts down his feet, a jewel or a lotus will spring up. Where he puts down his feet, a jewel or a lotus will spring up. He will raise his eyes to the 10 directions and will speak the words, "This is my last birth. There will be no rebirth after this one. Never will I come back here, but all pure I shall win nirvana." So who knows what Jesus did whenever he was born, but I don't think he would have said this was my last birth, because I definitely think it was the only one. But, where could they have got part of this prophecy, right? Okay. Sermon of the Seven Sons. All things are impermanent. All aspects of existence are unstable and non-eternal. Beings will become so weary and disgusted with the constituent things that they will seek emancipation from them more quickly. There will come a season, O monks, when after hundreds of thousands of years, well, I don't think that's the truth either, rains will cease. All seedlings, vegetation, plants, grasses, trees will dry up and cease to be. There will come another season after a great lapse of time when a second sun will appear. Now all brooks and ponds will dry up, vanish, and cease to be. That is very bleak indeed. But are there not times here lately that we have seen what looked like to be a second sun in the sky? So that's interesting. And in this one, again, after a vast period of time, a sixth sun will appear, and it will bake the earth. Well, I'm feeling that here lately. The mountains will be consumed, a spark will be carried in the wind and go to the worlds of God. Thus, all things will burn, perish, and exist no more, except those who have seen the path. So, when we know the path, the the narrow path and the small gate, the narrow gate and the straight path. Yeah, the narrow gate and the straight path. And how Jesus is the only way, right? That's what we've been told. Yeshua is the only way. And that the world was consumed with flood, and it will be consumed with fire. So that lines up. Very interesting. I found this book here, Buddha's Discourse on the End of the World. There's only 5 pages of it here, but it has Bible mentioned. It's well known to New Testament scholars that the great eschatological discourse in the synoptical gospels is blending of historical and spiritual vindication. As I pointed out, the evangelist Luke attempted to separate the spiritual prophecy from the historical prediction, putting the former into his 17th chapter and the latter into his 21st. But Luke evidently understood even the physical cataclysm to refer to the siege of Jerusalem and the destruction of the Hebrew state. Interesting. Even Mark and the editor of Matthew probably understood the same thing, though our English translations of Matthew make his consummation of the eon the end of the world. After the siege, the early Christians evidently made this eschatological discourse refer to a cosmical convolution, but the only words which can justify aptly to such a thing are those in all 3 of the synopses. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. We have therefore used this verse among our parallels to Buddha's present discourse, but have reserved the text of the gospel prophecy for a forthcoming translation for the famous selected by somebody among his favorite texts. Its subject is the decline of religion. And of course, in 1893, they were really trying to push evolution, right? Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. 2 Peter 3:10, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the heavenly bodies or elements, I don't know where they're getting that for sure, shall be dissolved with fervent heat, and the earth and the works that are therein shall be burned up or discovered. Well, that's interesting. And I saw in Revelation 21:1, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth are passed away, and the sea is no more. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. And here it talks about the 5th sun and the waters of the great ocean going down for 100 leagues. And the 7th sun appearing. Anyway, I will have links to this stuff in the show notes in the membership. So if you guys want that, it will be there. So here was the thing that just really kind of caught me. Was the Pythia the high priestess of the Temple of Apollo in Delphi, and the Pythia's last prophecy, supposed last prophecy. Okay. The Pythia was an oracle. It wasn't just one, that's not a person's name, it was a title, like the Sibyls. And she was basically the high priestess of the Temple of Apollo. It wasn't originally the Temple of Apollo. I would like to bring that information up. This, I am assuming, is probably megalithic, the Temple of Apollo, because come on, work. Come on. Open link in a new tab. I'm going to get sidetracked. Because I'm going to assume they have a picture here without people because it's probably huge. Okay? I mean, if we're looking close at the stones and stuff here, it's interesting that that is a ramp, not steps, unless that's a lot bigger than what I think it is, which it could be. I have a feeling those are very, very large blocks. Okay. And these pillars to be still standing there after all this time, it was probably, could have been immediately post flood too. I don't know. But I mean, that's layers of huge stones as a foundation. It had to have been a honkin' big temple. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Let's see what else they've got. Here's a larger piece. I mean, these are the mountains. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Here you've got, yep. It's megalithic. Look at the nubs on the stones. Like the stuff you see in Peru. Yeah. Yep. So don't you imagine the stuff at Peru probably had, oh, and you've got the stones with the that had the metal pieces holding them together. You've got that too. Yep. We've got all of those pieces that, and you find these all over the world, in Japan, South America. Yeah, everywhere. So this is very, very. So I'd say a good part of this was probably pre-flood. They may have built something else on top of it using the foundation stones, to make it even more spectacular, because the flood had to have done some damage, And was this a huge tree next to the temple? One of those giant trees? Because it almost, I don't know here, guys, but it almost looks like, like the bark on a tree or something to me. And then you have the different colors that you might have with the trees. You got this big valley here. And then these mountains here. Just very, very, very interesting what's going on there. So, yeah. Neat. Let's see. Yep, that's the only two. So anyway, let's see. Yeah, we're going through this. Let's see. They go back to 1400 BC. But like I said, so if it only goes back as far as that, this oracle, then they were definitely on a pre-flood piece. This is something that I'm interested in, and I'll get back to that. Okay, the Pythia, the oracle, she was a priestess, held court at Pytho, the sanctuary of the Delphians. And if you'll notice, in America, something to consider here, in America, all libraries in America, go look at the history of the public library system. Some of the libraries out here are still Delphian Club Library. Matter of fact, let's look that up. Early American Literary Club. Active between here and here. Baloney. We still have one here. Literary magazines. Yep, the name refers to the Oracle of Delphi, and club records claim the president to be a representative of Apollo. And members are associated with muses. Okay. Delphian Society. National organization promoted the education of women in the United States. Delphian Society takes its name from the Oracle of Delphi. Here in remote times, Apollo was believed to reveal his wishes to the priestess. Oh my goodness. Yep, here we go. 1913, the Delphian Society published a Delphian course of reading. Yep. Oh, wow. Interesting. Delphian Library. Mine comes up first. Okay, guys, this is my local library right there. Delphian Public Library. Here's a Delphian Municipal Library. Oh, I guess it's the same one. Oklahoma Library Association, Delphian Clubs and Societies. Oh, let us look that up. Oklahoma Library Association. You cannot be a librarian in Oklahoma. Pretty much, especially these smaller libraries, unless you are a member of the Delphian Club. A priestess of Apollo. Oh my goodness, that was not even on my plan, guys. Absolutely not on my plan. Wow. Okay. Now that we went there. Oh. Let's see. Oh, and here's this thing again. The Homophilus of Delphi. You guys, here's one of the paintings. I think this one was done in the 1800s. It's kind of creepy, so I wanted to bring it up so you guys can see it. Look at this claw-footed stool. We were talking about, let's see, was it Emmy and I? Yeah, because we're going through Ezekiel. Talking about the stool of the Lord that his throne would sit on. and how you would expect, like a clawfoot or something, and wheels under it so that it can move. This is a very tall one, and not real practical as far as I'm concerned. So we have that phallus. And I wanted to, here we have the Hindu Lingam, okay? Now, the Lingam in Hindu represents, it's representative of Shiva, okay? That one looks like an egg on it. Oh, and looky here. Oof. Ooh. It looks like a snake going over here to an egg. Oh, does that not? Wasn't expecting that either, guys. Wow. It is. It absolutely, you got a snake, like a cobra maybe or something, flat head, going up here with the forked tongue, going to the egg. Wow. I was not expecting that either. So, serpent mount here in the US. Anybody? Okay. Here's a lingam that's got a face on it. Here's a lingam this is why I think Buddha is kind of a copy of a lingam, and because it's very similar. This right here, lingam. Okay. There you've got a person in it. That is very phallic, very phallic. A lot of these look very phallic. It's interesting that the one looks like an egg. That one looks like an egg too. Unless it's just a different version of the same one. I can't really tell there. So some of them look egg-like. Some of them look phallic-like. Some of them look like a person type thing. This one, interestingly, has different faces or faces going around it. Interesting. Those look like long eggs, like snake eggs to me. That's what those look like. Oh, here we have a snake around an egg. Wow. So that's what that thing at Delphi reminds me of. And this looks a lot like, to me, the carvings in some of the temples in India. So that would be another thing that would just kind of make me feel, I wonder where this was in the Temple of Delphi. You know what I'm saying? If it was situated in a similar fashion as the ones in India. I really, really, really wonder. Some of these carvings are just pretty amazing. Lots of interesting information. But what I was going to, okay, I've got that. There's another painting that somebody had done. And I think this one is a painting of like the last thing. And so the last Oracle of Delphi, and this particular paper, which I'll have the PDF linked in the show notes. There's a couple of different versions of how this last prophecy, or not really a prophecy, but went. But this one is, tell the emperor that the dialectic has fallen. Okay, dialectic. I had to look it up. Skillful. So the dialectic is like a skillful architect, a craftsman, a symbol of wisdom, knowledge, and power, a mythological figure. So I'm wondering, is this a statue that fell down and broke or something, or what? But this has fallen. no longer does Phoebus have his chamber, which Phoebus is Apollo. Phoebus redirects to Apollo. Phoebus is Apollo. He's the son of Zeus and Leto. What is Leto? Mother of Apollo and Artemis. She's the daughter of the Titans. So probably a pre-flood. Maybe one of the wives of the Watchers, perhaps, that ended up turning into a siren, maybe. So his symbol is a lyre, a laurel wreath, and a python snake. And bows and arrows. So no longer does he have his chamber or his mantic laurel. I had to look that up too. Okay. So mantikos means prophet. One who divines, a seer, a prophet, touched by divine madness. He doesn't have his prophetic laurel. And a laurel is like a particular tree, but it could also be the crown, the laurel crown, is kind of what I was thinking. But anyway, he no longer has his prophetic tree or prophetic crown, nor prophetic spring of water. And the speaking water has been silenced. Okay. Some people think it's a Christian forgery. Because she was supposedly, some people think that she was saying, hey, Jesus has silenced Apollo. And in the book of Revelation, let's see. Oops. Good grief. Bible Gateway, Book of Revelation. We do not want the NIV. Let's do the not with the pop-ups, please. Let's try NASB. Okay. How do we spell Apollo? I'm doing bad. Yeah, okay. P. Level. Matthew, Acts, Corinthians, and Titus. I thought it was in. Wow. No. Apollyon, I think, is what it is in Revelation. There we go. Okay. Revelation 9:11. They have as king over them the angel of the abyss. His name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in the Greek, he has the name Apollyon. So, right here, angel of the abyss. Okay? So interesting. So the Bible is actually calling Apollo not a Nephilim, daughter of so and so and so and such, but actually calling him one of the fallen angels. So that's interesting. So I know that I have this. Kate Murray had an interesting, and of course she's talking about how, wonderful the whole thing. Central to the Oracle of Delphi was the Pythia, intricately linked to the snake, Python. As a lineage of priestesses, she served as a sacred channel, communing with the divine, not the good one, through mystical rituals and ceremonies, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. This, in its narrative, the serpent emerges as one of the most primordial symbols of feminine strength. Ugh. Oh my goodness. Because she had the strength to listen to the deception of the serpent and eat the fruit, right? Profound essence of life itself. Bees, they also bring up the bees, like the queen bee type thing, which is interesting because that Lingum looking thing, where did you go? It looks to me like a beehive too, and maybe like with bees on it or something. So, I mean, that's interesting connection there. And then we have the prophecies, the decline of a legacy. Oh, I thought they had the prophecies in here. Something they did. The oracle was eventually silenced in the 4th century by Theodosius the First. And of course, they're, still keeping it alive. And I've got on my timeline here, Theodosius the First was 379 to 395 AD. So, another interesting thing, if we're talking about the millennial reign in here somewhere, right? Was the Lord getting the kingdom into, under him during this time? I don't know. I thought I had kept the actual because one of these had the prophecy. The last prophecy was written a little bit different. Thought I did have it. This has got quite a bit of information here, which is very, very neat. That's all we've got there. I thought I had that. And I may be missing it. No, that's the end of that one. Well, I can't believe I lost track of that one because it was very interesting how that went. Let's see. Oh, maybe it's in here. Organization. Let me see. Scientific explanations. Of course, you would want to do that. Excavations. Lots of information here, too. Oh, it has the Delphine Club right here. Oh, how funny. Well, poo. I guess I missed it. There was another one. Yep, that had this worded differently, and I was very interested in how it was worded differently. But it was basically tell the emperor that paganism has fallen and no longer is Apollo there, basically. So, well, I'm frustrated. But we found some very interesting things in the process. So, anyway, this is how my stuff goes. And then we're going to talk about the Sibyls. The Sibyl, very similar to the thing at Delphi, the Pythia Sibyls. They were priestesses in ancient Greece. Let's see. The Sibyl with frenzied mouth, uttering things not to be laughed at, adorned and unadorned and unperfumed, yet reaches to 1,000 years with her voice by aid of, so Michelangelo's depiction. And see, so many of these this is in the Sistine Chapel. So why would that be a millennial reign building with that kind of iconography? I'm still description of grace. So anyway, the Sibyls were another one. Let's see. Here's the last one. The last Sibyl. Let's see. There was a meeting with Augustus, of whom he inquired whether he should be worshipped as a god. Was a favored motif of Christian artists. Whether the Sibyl in question was this one or is not clear. The Christian author has no hesitation in identifying her as the Tiburtine Sibyl nonetheless, and he gave circumstantial account of the pagan Sibyls that is useful mostly as a guide to their identification as seen by 14th century or 4th century Christians. She's worshipped as a goddess. Her image is said to have been found on the banks of a stream, in which stream her image is. So it makes you wonder if these girls were maybe, protected by one of the one of the women that bred with the watchers, if they were protected by them. An apocalyptic prophecy exists attributing her, and this would be AD 3080, but with revisions. It purports to prophesy the advent of a final emperor named Constans, vanquishing the foes of Christianity, bringing about a period of great wealth and peace, ending paganism and converting the Jews. After vanquishing Gog and Magog, the emperor is said to resign his crown to God. This would give way to the Antichrist. So that's interesting. And so he's saying that this was prophesying the birth of Christ in the classical world. And this 1515 would have been, I don't know. I'm still so flustered with the whole timeline here. So you've got the Sibyl about this time period, right? And then Constantine back here, almost the 1500s, not quite. The end of the Byzantine Empire and the beginning of the Ottoman Empire. You see what I'm saying? So was this right here the millennial reign? I don't know. And then this right here to this right here, I'm wondering if that even existed or if they smushed up all of the history there, is my thoughts. Let's see if you've got, I'm sitting here babbling and let's see. What's the topic? Hi, Mike. I don't know if I come with so much intelligence or not. I am sitting here, we're going over prophecies and stuff. If you hadn't caught the first part, I mean, we were kind of connecting some of the Indian Hindu lingams with Buddhism and the Greek sibyls, and yeah. So we actually, I have found some things that I didn't even have planned on this one. So the Pythia, the Oracle of Delphi, was the one that I was really going on. That got me started on this. My daughter actually sent me something. It was a short the other day on the Pythia, the Oracle of Delphi's supposed last thing that she said, and it really it's pretty amazing. I mean, tell the emperor that the Diadalic has fallen. No longer does Phoebus, who's Apollo, have his chamber, nor his prophetic laurel, and the speaking water has been silenced. So it's interesting that this is saying that the Sibyl, that her image could be seen in the water. So it really makes me think of the sirens, because because the sirens are and people love drawing this stuff. It's just, but the sirens are, they were the women that bred with the watchers, and that's what they got turned into. So that's why I don't drink Starbucks coffee, because these things are like old, very, very old. So if the Sibyls were actually like protected by or something, the sirens, it would make sense why they were connected with water. And a lot of times they would use water like a crystal ball type thing too. So that's an interesting just concept there. Side note, getting sidetracked. I think what you do is show a blend of empires. It's hard to understand, but I feel you show it in a realistic way. Well, I hope so. It just, realizing that everything is connected is just really helps you understand what's going on in the world today, and that it's not as they're constantly trying to divide us according to the color of our skin, according to our historical background, according to, so many different things. And it's like, we shouldn't let them do that. We just should not. Let's see. Beware the Sibyl's prophecy. There was something here. Okay. The earliest surviving manuscript on this one was 1047. And let's see. Oh, I've just got to read. The work interprets Sibyl's dream in which she foresees the downfall and apocalyptic end of the world. 9 suns appear in the sky, each one more ugly and blood-stained than the last, representing the 9 generations of mankind and ending with Judgment Day. So this puts it in 9 generations. Interesting. The original Greek version dates from the end of the 4th century, and the earliest surviving manuscript is 1047 from Madrid. There are small numbers of vernacular manuscripts, including an Anglo-Norman version by this dude, the Tiburtine I think Sybil is often depicted, she's the last Sybil, supposedly, often depicted with Emperor Augustus, who asks her if he should be worshipped as a god. This image from the margins of a Dutch prayer book as an example. Isn't that interesting? Maybe this is the one that's got the I have got so many tabs open. It is ridiculous. Let's see. These manuscripts are beautiful. Prophecy has been inserted into biblical text between the Psalms and the Proverbs. And this one, isn't that interesting? That they put that in there. Oh, but women couldn't read in the medieval times. They weren't allowed to learn to read and write. I have got so many images like this of women with books and writing instruments. Like, oh, women weren't allowed to read and write. Anyway, very, very interesting. Okay, yeah. Artists in the Middle Ages really like depicting her. Maybe this. Here is one. Then will arise a king of the Greeks, whose name is Constans, and he will be king of the Romans and the Greeks, and he will be tall in stature, of handsome appearance, with a shining face, and well put together in all his body. Let's see. And after he will come to Jerusalem, having put off the diadem from his head and laid aside the whole imperial garb, he will hand over the empire to the Christians, to the God the Father, and to Jesus Christ, his Son. So this in time period, hi Corey. So this is the time period of here. She was talking about or prophesying about Constantine the 11th. Okay, so you have these emperors of the Byzantine Empire. So the last Sybil, the last Pythia, was in this time period during Theodosius. Anyway, King Theo the First, Emperor Theo the First. And then, so she's talking about the 10th one. And I've talked about some people believe that these 10 are the 10 horns of the beast. So again, was the Byzantine, some people want to believe that the Byzantine era was the millennium. And was it? And we've just been lied about some of the things that happened during that time period. Or was it not really? I don't know. Like some of Shelley over at There's No Place Like Home, she's doing this. And Wikipedia talks about this being the first millennium after the siege of Jerusalem, and basically going from 70 AD to 1070 AD. So right in this period, and see, we've got like a blank spot here too, because he goes to 1025 and then he starts at 1081. So what's happening here, right? And this time period is when that one pope is that the Geneva Bible says when the Satan was released. So the Byzantines definitely had some holy relics. I agree. But they also had some very unholy stuff too. So, I mean, if the millennium was from here to here, and she was talking about this right here, I mean, it's kind of confusing. And let's see, in doing so, he will give way to the Antichrist. And so, was the Antichrist Nero before in 70 AD, or was Antichrist after the millennium? And the Antichrist will arise from the tribe of Dan. So he would be Tuidadonin, basically, right? He will be the son of perdition, the head of pride, master of error, fullness of malice. So we're talking about somebody here in the Roman Empire that would have been in that time period. So, yeah, I mean, and here you've got these pieces going on here. And here's all of these statues and pieces of art and stuff that have been about the Sibyl and this stuff that's happening. So was it really a pagan thing, or are they trying to make it look like it was a pagan thing? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if Shelley, I don't even know if she knows I'm on. She's probably busy with her family. They've been doing some fun things here lately. She's probably posting pictures on Instagram. Let's see. So then I was going to go Nostradamus. I grew up with his prophecies, and I read a book of his. It was kind of like part of childhood was some of this stuff. So Nostradamus is fairly familiar to me. His father's family was originally Jewish, but converted to Catholic, which I'm not really surprised about. Let's see, and he was in the 1500s. He wrote an almanac. Let's see. See if I can get down here. Some years as an apothecary. Interesting. Marriage and healing work. Occultism. Final years. His works. Prophecies. I was going to see if they had something. He was a diviner. Manuscript normally known as Oros Apollo. Here we go again. Also exists in Leon Public Municipal Library. Origins of the Prophecies. Judicial Astrology. Can't stand Copernicus. Hellman reports. I was going to see if we could find what his interpretations. Of course, when people go start interpreting some of these, then let's see, all of this presented in the context of the supposedly imminent end of the world, even though this was not, in fact, mentioned, a conviction that sparked numerous collections of end times prophecies at the time, including an unpublished collection by Christopher Columbus. That is interesting. Views on Nostradamus have varied widely throughout history. Academic views, such as those of this person, regard his prophecies as antedated forgeries written by later authors for political reasons. No. Let's see. Many supporters do agree, for example, that he predicted the Great Fire of London, French Revolution, rise of Napoleon and Adolf, both world wars, nuclear destruction of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which weren't nuclear. Popular authors frequently claim he predicted whatever major event happened at the time of each of their books' publication. Such as that didn't happen, and that really kind of didn't either. And that one, I wonder. Not specifically interpreting seer statements. Oh, scholarly rebuttal, of course. Yeah. Pop culture. Why are you eating? Well, because I'm done eating. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see if this one talks about what he... the pop-ups. Speculation. Controls. Global disaster and possible war with China. Okay, here we go. And this is interesting, okay? This is the Jerusalem Post, guys. Nostradamus' 2024 predictions. War in Asia and end of King Charles. Okay, this is the Jerusalem Post. So we're talking really. Nostradamus' words state that the king of the Isles, who went through a controversial divorce, would be driven out by force, have no mark of a king. That's interesting. Global disaster and possible war with China. He predicted a cruel tsunami and great floods that will ravage parts of the world, followed by a devastating great famine. Nostradamus warned that the earth will become more arid and there will be great floods. The implication is that the tsunami may impact farmland, contributing to a severe famine. Interesting. Well, there's a tsunami of something going on. I think it's a political tsunami as much as anything. But the way the Atlantic has been heating up here lately, the red adversary will become pale with fear, putting the great ocean in dread. Well, did you guys see that painting? Well, what did you do that for? Did you guys see that painting of King Charles? Did you guys see that? So that's kind of interesting. The red adversary will become pale with fear, putting the great ocean in dread. I don't know about that. Come on, quit that. Analysts believe this may allude to escalating conflict with Asia and China. Well, maybe so, but that kind of reminds me of a painting that has... When did they reveal that painting? Do you guys remember? First official portrait, May. So that was after this Jerusalem Post article, because this Jerusalem Post article was in November of 2023. So they didn't know that painting was coming out when they did that article. Yeah. Why so many pagan statues? Yeah. Don't tell me they were an afterthought. I agree, Mike. You have a fiance getting married. Congratulations. That's exciting. Yeah, this thing is like so evil. Oh, so that's interesting. I mean, I'm not, but it's interesting. Okay, and then we have the prophecy of the popes. How long have I been going on? I probably don't want to know. Oh, an hour and a half. The prophecy of the popes. So, have you guys heard of this one? Because this one did come up. Let's see, Skywatch TV talked about it when the most recent pope kind of took over. That this prophecy like named them and said that basically this dude would be the last one, the dude that's in there right now, and that yeah, I hate to go into too much there, but he supposedly like did a whole naming them all and talked about each one and what they were going to be doing. Let's see. Let's get down here to the bottom. This one's got Nostradamus listed in that one too. That's interesting. So let's see. Peter the Roman, who will pasture his sheep in many tribulations, and when these things are finished, the city of 7 hills will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge his people. The end. And many analysis of the prophecy note that it is open to interpretation that additional popes would come between the glory of the olive and Peter the Roman. Popular speculation by proponents of the prophecy attach this to Benedict's successor, since Francis' election as pope. Proponents in internet forums have been striving to link him to the prophecy. Theories include a vague connection. Assisi, whose father was named Peter. So, anyway, that one comes up. Let's see. I had a thought in mind. What was it? Let's see. And then I pulled up, might as well get it from the, what it is the prophecy of the, that's what, it's Saint Malachi is the one that prophesied this. And some Catholics actually believe it is. That this dude is the last one. They don't give much information here. Oh, this person says that this prophecy isn't worth paying attention to. The entire thing is a forgery. Well, it's kind of interesting that it's so detailed, though. So, very, very detailed. Okay, so then I went to, let me close down a few more of these. I'm going to be on here forever. Okay, Fifth World Mythology. You guys may have to bookmark it and come back if you get too tired. I'm going to keep going, though. Fifth World Mythology. And we're talking about indigenous groups in U.S. and Mexico. Okay? Mesoamerican eschatology. Aztec. According to the Aztecs, the present world is a product of 4 cycles of birth, death, and reincarnation, when each world is destroyed and reborn through the sacrifice of a god. The god's sacrifice creates a new sun, which creates a new world. The myth is sometimes referred to as the legend of the 5 suns. Does that not sound like the Buddhist belief. I probably shouldn't have shut it off, huh? Jaguars, hurricane, fire, rain, and a flood destroy the first four. And after the fourth sun was destroyed, the gods gathered to choose a god to become the new sun, which, if you're talking about Elohim, it does say in the book of Enoch that there is a specific Elohim that pulls the sun around its path. Okay? One of these that is boastful and proud offered himself up. However, the rest of them favored a different one, the smallest and humblest one. The gods built a grand fire, but at the last second, he refused to jump into the fire because he was too afraid of the pain. Instead, the humble one jumped in. Embarrassed by the sacrifice, he followed him into the fire. The two suns rose in the sky, but they were too bright, and they threw a rabbit. I love Native American prophecy. They threw a rabbit at him to dim his light, and he turned into the moon instead. Still, however, the sun remained motionless in the sky, burning the ground below, and they recognize that all must be sacrificed so that the people could survive. Yeah, Shelley, where are you at? Oh, it helped offering them. So the sacrifices made the sun move through the sky, energizing the earth instead of burning it. So it's pretty funny that in this, it is the sun that moves through the sky and not us moving around the sun. So, hola, Aztec, check. Let's see. And the fifth world, the last one after this, the earth will not be recreated. And this is why they practiced human sacrifice. They would only keep the sun alive as long as they continued providing them with blood. That is disgusting. Their worldview held a deep sense of indebtedness. So that's very sad. The victim was someone who gave his service. Well, thankfully, we do have the ultimate sacrifice in Yeshua, so we don't need that. Navajo mythology. Navajo, who were neighbors of the Hopi in the Southwest. Emergence of myths and creation stories. Has many parallels to the biblical book of Genesis. Of course they do. The early Abrahamic concept of the world is similar to the Navajo concept of the world. I imagine, because they're probably part of the lost tribes. Absolutely. The world is one where the earth is an area of land floating on an ocean covered by a domed heaven. Really? The domed heaven fits the land and ocean like a lid, with its edges on the horizon. Their creation story traces the evolution of life. Why do they have to put that in? Through 4 previous worlds until the people reach the 5th and present world. So what would that be if you were talking about 4? I mean, could it be like 4 ages? Like whenever I went through this, it's like the first age would be the creation to the flood. And this is just my conjectures, right? Second age would be from the flood through to the Exodus. Is where I'm putting that. And then the next one maybe would be from the Exodus to the Canaanite and Phoenician Empire, maybe. Maybe not. And then the kingdom, and then to the Babylonian Empire. So I don't know. Since they're only doing 5, you would have to do it down into how would you split them up into 5. Anyway, very interesting, because if when the Babylonian Empire took over, If this was a worldwide empire and there was worldwide devastation on what Egypt and the kingdoms had, then it could have seemed like an end of the world type thing, right? Let's see. I really wanted the eschatology. The mountain lion was chief on the other side, and the people with the wolf chief became the animals. This is not eschatology. That's a creation story. I don't know why they threw that. I guess it's just mythology. And then the Hopi creation or myth, I believe we're living in the fourth world right now and on the threshold of the fifth. Now, this is one of the interesting things. In each of the previous worlds, humanity was destroyed by destructive practices and wars. In the most common version of the story, Spider Grandmother caused a reed to grow into the sky, and it emerged in the fourth world, a small tunnel or interdimensional passage. As the end of the world draws near, something appears to lead the Hopi to the next phase of the world. Interesting. So, Tower of Babel, North Pole. I don't know. Let's see. Apocalypse prophecies, native, end of the world teachings. In Hopi teachings, he began, we are told that toward the end of the world, Spider Woman will come back and she will weave her web across the landscape. Everywhere you will see her web. That's how we will know we are coming to the end of the world. We will see her web everywhere. I believe I have just seen her web. We have so many things webbing over the world. If you want to include transmission lines as looking like webs from the sky, we could do that. We could definitely do that. Let's see. The Hopi teaching refers to 9 signs. Our lands will see the coming of spinning wheels filled with voices. In his youth, my father saw this prophecy come true with his eyes, the white men bringing their families in wagons across the prairies. Okay, that makes sense. The third sign, a strange beast like a buffalo, but with great longhorns numbers. These white feather saw with his eyes the coming of the white men's cattle, longhorns. The fourth, the land will be crossed by snakes of iron. That would be trains. The fifth sign, the land shall be crisscrossed by a giant spider's web. Electric lines. This sixth sign, the land shall be crisscrossed with rivers of stone that make pictures in the sun. Now, I don't understand that make pictures in the sun. I don't understand that part, but the rivers of stone, would that not be highways? I don't know what the make pictures with sun in the sun would mean, but rivers of stone would definitely be highways and interstates. And the seventh sign, you will hear of the sea turning black and many living things dying because of it. Okay, interesting. And what does Revelation say about the waters? I don't know, but if you start looking at the hot spots in the Atlantic Ocean right now, and all the heat, and the way it looks like a dragon is swimming northward in some of that. I know some of it's HAARP and whatnot, but I don't know. The eighth sign, you will see many youth who wear their hair long like my people and come join the tribal nations to learn their ways and wisdom. I think we've seen that too. I think we've been seeing some of that. There's a lot of youth on like TikTok that are starting to see that they've been lied to, and that they're starting to realize that maybe your hair has more to do with you connecting with God's creation than, just being dead cells, that there's more to it, which I totally believe. And it may be such a thing because I guess in one of the wars, can't remember which one, they had the Native Americans, they've always used Native Americans as scouts, right? And well, they shave their heads whenever they go into the military, but they found out that they weren't able to do their job as a scout as well without their hair. But if they let them grow their hair back, then they were more aware of their surroundings. So, I mean, this is, so I think that's interesting. I know one of our sons has very long hair, and he definitely looks more Native American than some of the other of our children. We have three out of the six that look pretty Native American, and then three that definitely look more Scottish or Irish. So, yeah, but I think this is a thing. Okay, the ninth and last sign, you will hear of a dwelling place in the heavens above the earth that shall fall with a great crash. It will appear as a blue star. This is kind of where you get the blue kachina thing. If you guys have ever heard of the prophecy of the blue kachina and the red kachina, and they're always looking for, planets and stuff, people who don't understand biblical cosmology, it will appear as a blue star. Very soon after this, the ceremonies of my people will cease. So that's interesting. Hearing of a dwelling place in the heavens above the earth. Well, I think we know. I mean, more and more people are becoming aware of where we're living and what it actually is in the biblical cosmology. And we are literally a footstool of our Creator. And now, as far as falling with great crash, we are told that wormwood in Revelation will fall into the ocean, which you'll hear of the sea turning black and many living things will die. So wormwood, in Revelation, I just got to look it up. And the name of the star is called Wormwood, and a third of the parts of the waters became wormwood, and many men died because of the waters, because they were made bitter. And, okay, here's a thought, and I'm not trying to put too much into this, but they're literally trying to, put cracks in the dome, right? You've got the whole SpaceX thing. You've got what Hillary Clinton said about, putting 1 million cracks in the ceiling and things like that. What if a piece of it crashed? Would that not look like a blue star? If that's that blue sky ice, like Shelly and I have, looked into, like that blue sky ice, what if they actually like knocked a chunk loose and a chunk fell down and then made the waters bitter. What if that could be what it is? That's something to kind of watch out for. I don't know. I can't say for sure. But I'm sitting here, I totally and completely believe that the Native Americans are the lost tribe. Or at least a lot of them are the lost tribe, lost tribes of Israel. Okay. So that's a thought. It's a thought. And then I had this one. This is Edgar Casey. Here's another one. And Edgar Casey had some interesting things to say. He said, "What is meant by the day of the Lord is near at hand, that as has been promised through the prophets and the sages of old, the time and half time has been and is being fulfilled in this day and generation, and that soon there will again appear in the earth that one through whom many will be called, and meet those that are preparing the way for his day in the earth. The Lord then will come, even as you have seen him go." So Edgar Casey he's like one of the kings of New Age, okay? And I don't know where his prophecies, if he was actually a medium for, demonic spirits or watchers or something, but I know that he did believe the Bible at the same time. So a lot of the New Age people that I have known in my life, especially whenever I was younger, they believed in the Bible as far as it fit what they wanted to believe. Okay. And that's how so many people are. They believe what they want to believe and how much of it they want to believe. But yeah, Casey's readings had much to say about the life of Jesus, covering his lost years, which a lot of quote unquote modern-ish prophets, I didn't go into, like the Mormon prophet or the Seventh Day Adventist prophet or any of those prophets. But a lot of them will go into like the lost years of Jesus, like in between his 12 years old and whenever he started his ministry. And they'll try to say what he did during that time. And it's hard to say. I'm not saying that the Lord can't give somebody revelation like that. I'm just going to say be careful with it, So I think he had some issues that were because he would go into translate states. Translate states can be, demon possession. They could also be like brain abnormal, abnormal brain issues. Because I know like Ellen White with the Seventh-day Adventist, she actually had brain issues because of sickness and I think an accident whenever she was younger. So he did come up with a lot of holistic health things that are solid today. Castor oil, he was like the king of castor oil. So I was using castor oil before castor oil was popular. Okay. Because castor oil has become very, very popular for use nowadays. I have been using castor oil most of my life because we used Edgar Casey products whenever I was younger. So anyway, his interpretations of some of the stuff I definitely wouldn't agree with. You would need to just really read your Bible and just like the Nostradamus and all the other ones, you need to have a lot of discernment with this stuff. But whenever it comes down to it, a lot of these just come up with the same. Definitely, this is a website based on his. 7 prophecies yet to come. And I went through these prophecies, and honestly, I believe most of these have happened. I did the same thing with the Nostradamus stuff. I went through a lot of the prophecies, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that already happened. That already happened, and things like that. So, I mean, but a lot of times these prophecies can be, can really be interpreted however you want to. I mean, that's one of the things about New Age is they will give you things that will kind of apply to so many things. Let's see. All right. I think I'm basically done with that one. Now that I've gone on and on and on and on forever, sorry guys. Now the Revelation stuff. Here we go, into the goodies. I know, I've been going forever. I'm sorry. Let's see. So we go Revelation 1:1, the revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave to him to show to his servants the things which must shortly come to pass. Okay? We're going over this, and recently, I need to exit some things down here. Okay. And if you're in the community, then you've probably got this link that a Hebrew version of the New Testament was found in India. And what I have here is a translation from a particular person or people that they do. I think they're dispensational, definitely futurist. Okay. So I wish I could read Hebrew. They do have it in here. But the beginning of this, these are the confidential counsels which Yahweh gave to Yeshua HaMashiach to show his servants that will happen soon. Okay. And then we go down to F here. At near. The Bible meaning of soon or near is not always what we expect, stating that Babylon's destruction is near in Isaiah 13:22, and I think I've covered that before. Babylon was only destroyed generations later, and the ultimate fulfillment is still in the future. So there's that. And then we had 158. I'm going to try to go through this fairly quickly. So in Revelation chapter 6, verse 11, then this is from the Hebrew version. And to every one of them were given white garments, and it was said to them, you must rest yet a little time. Okay, so we're talking, this is the saints, the martyrs, and this is the 5th seal. Yes, here. Okay, so that's one place that says that. And then the other one is 26. And then Revelation 23, which is the one that, we usually go on for the short season, until the 1,000 years were completed, and after this he will be freed for a little time. Satan will be freed for a little time. Okay, so that's what that's got in this, according to there. And if you get this, it does have the Hebrew. So, and I tried to look up the same word that is used for short season or little time. And so we've got Revelation 1:1 here. Must soon with speed. This one is the Greek. And this is tachos, like nachos. That's what it made me think of. Or tacos. Anyway, swiftness, speed, quickly, speedily, appropriate, particular situation. That these things are speedily, soon, quickly to come. Right? And then we have Ezekiel 33. For the day is near, even the day of the Lord is near. A cloudy day it shall be, the time of the heathen. And this one, near, we have 7138. The day of the Lord is near. And this is this word, karob, about, close, close relative, closer, draws near, hand, kinsman, lately, near, nearby, nearest, neighbors, near ones, related, relatives, short, shortly, soon, who are near, who is near. And then we have Joel, and this is talking about the day of the Lord. Okay, the day of the Lord is near in each one of these. So we have Joel 13:15. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Okay, near, it's that same word, 7138. Okay, Obadiah. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done to thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head. Okay, Obadiah. For the day of the Lord draws near. 7138. Again, same word. So I wish I knew in the Revelation and the Hebrew Revelation if it's the same word. But it's so hard to tell. I don't know Hebrew well enough to be able to figure it out. This one, Zephaniah 1:14. The great day of the Lord is near. It is near and hasteth greatly. I mean, this is going, it is near, hasteth greatly, hasteneth greatly. Even the voice of the day of the Lord, the mighty man shall cry there bitterly. That's interesting. Okay, so here we go. And the NASB says quickly. So the near is 7138, but then quickly is this one, 4118A, Mayor, hastening, speedy, quickly. I mean, they don't even give you much different things going on here. Okay. Let's see. And the warrior, strong and mighty. And this is a Gibor. Gibor. And the mighty man shall cry there bitterly. That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. So, anyway, has the day of the Lord happened already? Or is it yet to come? That's what I'm wondering here. Anyway, that was interesting to kind of go through. If you guys want to go through this, I'll make sure that the links are available in the membership. But it's a lot to think about anyway. And I have taken so much time. I'm sorry this has gone on so long. I was not expecting that at all. Let's see, what else did I have? Yep, I already looked at that. I think I pulled everything up. I think I did. I'm tired. I've gone 2 hours. Oh my goodness, you guys. Wow, that is amazing. I am really looking forward to hearing you guys' thoughts. As you guys get some study on this and look these things up too, and see what you all have to say and what you think. I'm kind of amazed. I shouldn't be. at how the themes of the Bible just repeat into so many areas, you know? And yeah, it's just amazing. This research this is how I crawl down the rabbit hole. It absolutely is. It's just like way down the rabbit hole. So, there's enough time here in Oklahoma anyway for y'all to make it to the fireworks if you're going to that. So hopefully if you go, you can still make it. I don't think I'm going to. I had my ice cream. I think I'm going to go prop my feet up and read a book. So anyway, thank you guys for coming. And remember, you can make it through the dust storms of life with God's divine help. See y'all later.